guys, and welcome to this tutorial. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make and attach Tilly Tippy Toes' head to her body. So here we go. So first things first, for this stage you'll need your pre-painted face. So do check out the painting face video for Tilly. So that needs to be done first before we can move on to actually constructing the head shape. Okay, so in your pattern set you'll have a rectangle pattern piece with half a head on. Not this one because this is just my working template. Take your rectangle piece of fabric that's been folded over lengthways, pop your template on and then just mark out those two marks there. This is the opening, a bit like we did for the back opening. This is the head back opening. So that's where you're going to sew to, and you're going to do your seam, your stitches down here and down here, and leave that as an opening. Okay, so I've sewn that seam, I've ironed it open nice and flat, and there's that little opening there, and then I've done like I did on the back body, I've just done a top stitch, but I've gone down the long part to the opening, and then I've gone across and back up again. So I haven't done it down on this shorter piece, it's just top stitched on the longer bit through the opening and then back up again. And then take your template, lay that on, matching up your opening with the template, and this is right side facing. So just take your iron off marker pen and just add a line at the top and bottom of the head shape. Okay, then this is right side facing, and take your head, your painted face piece. So that's the good side. Turn it over, and this is the back side. So if you remember when we painted the face, we did the little notches on the front and on the back, and this is where we now need those back ones, those little back markers, in order to put our head template on. Line that up with those notches, make sure that the four are matching. And then this then means that the face that you've painted underneath will be in the correct placement for the head. So those are all lined up nicely. Then I'm going to take my iron off pen and I'm going to outline the edge of this head template. Going around those little ears. Okay, so we've now got the shape of the head on our painted face piece. And that should line up nicely. You can probably see where you've done your eyeliner that it's all matching in and it's in the correct placement. Then take your back bit with the longest bit at the top and the shortest bit at the bottom, right side facing. Take your painted face, wrong side facing uppermost, and then line it up, match those markers with the marker that you've just done there. So it's just a matter of turning it over and seeing where that it's lying in. It's only the top and the bottom markers that you need to line it up with. So that marker there is in alignment with that red pen mark there. And that marker there is in alignment with that red pen mark there. You can put some pins in if you like to keep it in place. We're now going to take that to our machine and we're going to sew all the way around, including the ears. And I'm going to use a number 2 machine stitch. So I've sewn all the way around and I've used my open toe foot so that I know that I get a nice precise line around the drawn in line that I've done. Next thing you're going to do is using normal scissors, cut around the ear. Quite close, but not so close that you're going to snip the stitches. Do that on both ears. Little snip into the side of the ear, very, very tiny, because you don't want to snip through those stitches. And then after you've done the ears, you do the rest with your pinking shears. Go very careful at this stage, because you don't want to snip through something that you shouldn't be, because all that time you've spent painting that face could be ruined if you snip through the wrong part. So nice and slowly. Also, when you get there, don't snip off the ear. Back around the front, under the chin. Okay, so we now have our face, well, we have our 2 faces ready. And the next thing we're going to do is turn that face the right side out. There she is, she's there. And then we'll use our dotting tool to go around all the seam. Now just make sure that you take your time and you do it thoroughly to get that complete seam ridge pushed out. If you don't do every part of all the stitches, you might end up with some angular points. So take your time to go all the way around. When you get to the ear, stop. We're going to come back to the ear. So all the way around, getting that seam completely smoothed out. Stop at that ear there. Then when you've done the whole head, turn your dotting needle over to use the very small little ball, but be really careful because we're going to use that on the ears, but don't push too hard because you don't want to push those stitches through. So it's just a gentle prod just to get that ear out. And again, make sure you've got that nice curve showing. All the way around, just give it a nice little gentle prod and that will produce that lovely curve on that ear. Okay, so we now have our two faces, and my next job is to go and iron these nice and flat, both sides. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to sew a machine stitch line through the ear, following the side of the face, each side, and that keeps those ears flat, and so that when you stuff the rest of the face you don't get any stuffing actually going into the ears. They're just going to be flat little ears on the side of her face. Now the easiest way to do this, because sometimes when you put your needle in right on the edge of something it does tend to sort of maybe hook up underneath and get into a little bit of a knot. So I find the easiest way to do it is to just take some paper and pin on your face, both sides, just going to move that over because I want to see that here, and then with your iron off pen just draw the line of where you're wanting to sew. So it's from the outside edge of the head there, going down through the ear to the side of the ear there. So both sides. That pin's right in the way. Let's move that out for the minute. Okay, let's pop that pin back in. It just holds it in place. And then I'm going to take that to the machine and I'm going to start it off, and then I am going to start my stitch line here. So stitch, 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 and then it runs into that top of the ear, and then you can sew through there and then come off with a few more stitches on the outside edge here. And then that way, when you're starting your stitch line, if you get any knots, it's on the paper. So start on the paper, come through into the ear and come off. So you have two long tail lines on each side. Okay, so I've sewn through. Let's take my pins out. And you can see that my stitch line starts beyond the ear, and it's gone through the paper, then it goes into the ear and then into the paper. And then that way you know you're not going to get any knots or anything in the sewing thread as you start. And then all you're going to do is simply pull away the paper from both ears. Taking care not to pull the thread so that it breaks off. So you've now got two tails at the top there and two tails at the bottom. And then all you're going to do is take each set of tails and fasten them off. And you can do that just behind the back of the ear. Couple of stitches just to secure it. Bring that last stitch in through the head. Make sure it's going through just the back part, turn it over, make sure your needle hasn't come out the front. Pull that through nice and tight, and then snip that tail off, and then you just repeat for the other tails that are hanging. And now on to stuffing the head. I've written in the pattern book the weight of the stuffing that you need for the head. So start by stuffing at the top. I just use my fingers for this, and then I use the hemostats towards the end. So just poking with your fingers into that little back opening there, into the top of the head, turn it round and start stuffing into the bottom of the head. And just keep going backwards and forwards, so do some in the top. And then some in the bottom. Give her a little push around. And then take your hemostats and just start pushing up all the way around the edge. And then when you've got the majority of your stuffing in, or all of your stuffing in, we're going to iron this seam line all the way around. Now the way to do it is to, if you press it hard like that, that pushes that seam out, and then you can just run your iron along the top of that edge. But obviously go careful of your fingers, because you don't want to be ironing your fingers. So just run it along. When you get to the ear, iron that sort of towards the back. So squash it in and iron it out. Okay, so all the stuffing's in. You've still got a little bit of a gap there, because that's where we're going to push the neck up through. She's been ironed, she's been pushed down and ironed all the way around there. Okay, so that's the head stuffed, and then the next thing I'm going to do is attach the head to the body. Okay, so for this we're going to use our strong thread. I'm going to use it double on the needle. And I'm taking my doll needle so it's double. And I'm going to take it in through the top of the head. You can mark off, if you like, approximately a centimetre where that centre seam is. Just mark off about a centimetre each side. So put your needle in one side, just pop your thumb up through that opening, because you don't want to go through too much stuffing when you're pushing that needle down. And then bring that needle down and out through that opening. And then leave a tail at the top. Then take your doll body, make sure that you've got the back side of the doll facing, not the front, so you need the back of her facing. And take your needle in through that top corner of the neck and out through the other side. And then take that needle back through the head opening to the top, out where we've done the other mark. Okay, so her neck is now caught onto that thread. And then holding on to both of the tails at the top, feed the neck through the opening. And start pulling that neck up. And you can use your hemostats if you need to, just to pull that seam back out again if it's hooking in. And then when you're pulling on those top threads, you need to turn her over and you need to decide how high up or low down you want her head sitting on her neck. Now I've got to just turn this up towards to face me to have a look. Okay, so when you've pulled it up and you're happy where it's sitting, the side that's got the needle on already, you can just now fasten that off. Sink that tail, cut that off, and then re-thread onto that other side. And then pull up again because it's probably slipped down a bit. So just hold her up to face you. And then holding tight to the neck and the head once you're happy with where that is positioned. Then fasten off that side. and sink that tail. And then next, take your doll needle again, double thread of the strong thread, and then just fasten on anywhere in the head. And then take your needle down about 1 centimetre from where that opening is onto the outside edge. Okay, so it's now coming out here, and then go through the neck out to the other side. Turn her around, go back through there, through the neck and out to the other side. Repeat, through the neck and out. Back through and out. And then one more time, back through and out. Then take the needle down, probably 2 centimetres or so. So our needle is now coming out at the bottom slightly, and we're going to repeat. So through the neck, out to the other side. Pick up some head, into the neck, out the other side. Pull nice and tight as you go, into the head, through the neck and out. And then one more time, through the head, into the neck and out. Take your needle up into the head somewhere, anywhere is fine, and just fasten off there. Three little stitches and sink your tail. Snip that off, snip that start off. And there you have the head nice and secure onto your doll's neck. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add a head cap to the back of our head, because as you can see she's quite flat. So we're just going to add another piece of fabric, creating a cap, which we're also going to stuff. So in your pattern piece you'll have the head pack template. You need to cut 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to sew along that centre back seam. You'll see the centre back seam marked on your pattern piece. So the 2 centre back seams have been sewn. I'm just going to pink that seam allowance. And then open them out and put right sides facing on both of them, and just centre that top seam together and just open that seam out a little bit. You can do that as you're going round on your machine, or have one facing one way and one facing the other way, because where it's been pinked sometimes it's a bit difficult to open that seam allowance out. And then pin in right the way down to the bottom edge. Same the other side. And then I'm going to sew all the way around that head cap and just leave that little straight bottom edge open. So I've sewn around it and I've pinked the edges. Now what I also like to do here is just take my iron off pen and just mark which is the centre back seam. So that's the centre back seam, the first one that we did, compared to which is the outside seam, which we've just done. So I know that this is the first seam that I did, so that's my centre back one. So I'm just going to put a little mark there, just so that I know that that is the centre back, and that side as well, so that when I turn it, I won't get in a muddle as to which is the right side for that back bit and compared to the side bits. So let's turn that out the right way. And then I'm going to get my dotting tool and I'm going to go through all of those seams just to smooth out that sewn ridge. Okay, so that's all 4 seams pushed out. So have a look again, there's my centre back seam, because of my little marks on it. And those are my outside edges. Just so I know which way is the correct way around. And then I'm just going to turn up that bottom edge. Let's cut off some of those little straggly bits there. Just going to turn that bottom edge up about 1/2 centimetre. Pin that in place. Then I'm going to go and sew just along there, just to keep that in place. Just do it on the machine, and then I'm going to iron that nice and flat. Well, I'm going to iron it nicely into the curve. Okay, so that's the head caps done. And so what happens with those is they just get positioned there on the back of the head, like so. I'm just temporarily going to put that on there for you, just so you can see. And then when that's sewn on, pulled in down to the neck there, and we're going to stuff that out. That's going to give her a lot more volume and body to the back of the head, otherwise she's quite flat-headed. But we're going to do that when we do the putting the mohair wefts on, or the looped mohair. I'm going to show you the 2 different ways to attach the cap. Now if you are going to be putting eyelashes on your dolly, you can see this one here is in need of eyelashes, and this one here already has her painted eyelashes on. So if you are going to be putting eyelashes on, it's at this point that you need to attach the eyelashes, when she's flat-headed. You can't do it after the cap goes on. Well, you can, but it'd be a bit of a struggle. So eyelashes go on at the flat head stage. So if you are going to be doing the eyelashes, I suggest you now watch my eyelash tutorial, because that goes right the way through on how to actually construct the eyelashes and how to actually attach the eyelashes to your doll's head. Okay, so eyelashes first. If you're not doing eyelashes, head on over straight to the attaching the mohair weft and the looped mohair. So thank you for watching, my lovelies, and I'll catch up with you again soon. Bye!